Roshan, I saw that. If anybody saw Roshan, I think that's a hidden one, Roshan. I can unhide it, but that wasn't the most. The most. If that's your favorite emoji, then good for you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to begin today's class. It is a session today on writing, and I've decided, just to help all you wonderful people, to make this a writing series. You will see that today it's writing task 2, and this is lesson number 2 in this series, because we already finished lesson number 1, and that was available a couple of weeks ago. And if you didn't see that one, let me tell you that on the IELTS Daily website, you can see it there in a big red box. It's a Band 8 essay. Just come over to the IELTS Daily website. We have lots and lots of free resources for you there. We've got writing task 1 in general. We've got writing task 2 academic, and also writing task 1 academic, and then we also have task 2. Lots and lots of free videos, as well as speaking videos, reading videos. You can find whatever you want on there. And this is going to be the second in the series. And I want to talk about, we're going to do a whole writing task today. It's going to be 40 minutes. I'm going to have a timer. We're going to write a full essay, and it will hopefully be above a Band 8. And as I mentioned, you can find more sample essays, videos at IELTSdaily.com. So if you were at the last session, you will know that we did this video about healthy eating, and that was a 2-part question. It was a 2-part question of why and what can be done. Now, in today's session, which is session number 2, we are going to be discussing both views and giving your own opinion. Now, I promise I don't know, or I haven't planned for this essay. I've seen the question, and I know that it's a really hard question. And what I want to do with you guys is try to answer the question as kind of test-like as possible. So what I'll do is share my experiences, share my thoughts. You guys can give me some input if you want, but obviously on the test day I wouldn't have you guys as input, and then we will write a whole essay. As I mentioned, it's a really, really hard question today, and I haven't planned anything for it. So we'll have a look at the question, and you will see in the bottom corner, you can see it there, there's a clock. Can you see it flashing? We're going to start the stopwatch so that we only have 40 minutes for this. The stopwatch is starting now. Okay, so the question says, some people say that history offers no practical benefit to society, while others claim that history teaches us to understand the present. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. Oh my gosh, this is a really hard question, and if I had this in the test, I think I would really struggle to think of something to say and what to write. And what I will do with you guys is give you some ideas, and then hopefully you will be able to take that onto your test and do something equally as good. Now, the first thing that I would always discuss with these type of questions is, what type of question is it? And we already know that it's a discuss both views and give your own opinion. And when you have kind of these opinion style questions, we are going to be looking for the most important word or words. So it could be a few words. It could be the most important word or couple of words. So the first thing that I want you to do, and you can pop it in the chat because we have you all in chat there, I want you to tell me, what is the most important word that you can see from this question? And it is a really, really hard question. What do you think the most important word or words are? Pop your answers in the chat now, and we'll see if you have the right idea. Let me see what you think. What do you think the most important word or words are? And we'll read the question again. It says, some people say that history offers no practical benefit to society, while others claim that history teaches us to understand the present. Discuss both views and give your own opinion. Obviously below it does say, give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Write at least 250 words. What do you think the most important word or words are? So let's see what we have coming up here. So Kent says history. Rose says understand the present. Asan says no practical benefits. I'm just going to move you to live here. Let's see who else. We've got something here. Homecan says views. Fatima says discuss. Naufal says history. Rose says understand the present. A few different, it's got lots of saying history. Lots of you saying history there. Let me tell you that the answer is not history. I think one student told me the right answer here. Just one student. Naufal says no practical benefit. I think that's really, really important part of this question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide you guys for now because I need to start planning my essay. I only have another 37 minutes to do this, okay? By the way, really, really, really importantly, if you like these videos, if you think they are useful, please give a like to this video. That would really, really, really help me. So if you're learning something from today's class, please give this a like. Great. So we're gonna, I'm just gonna pop a table in here, and what I want to do is discuss these two important views because the question says discuss both views. You guys need to be able to understand what both those views are. And then one student said no practical benefit. Okay, that's really important. The other is that it teaches us to understand the present. So in theory, that this would say that it does have a practical benefit. So those would be really the two important teachers. So there would be two sides to this essay. Now, no practical benefit or the practical benefit, it teaches us to understand the present. It asks you to discuss both views. So if you are doing this type of essay for the first time, if this is new for you, this is extremely important. Now, when we are structuring our essay, we want to think, most of the time, you will find that the structure looks something like this. The introduction. Now the body paragraph 1 will be the side 1, and we will call this the no practical benefit side, that's side 1. Body paragraph 2 will probably be side 2, and that's going to be that it does have practical benefit and that it teaches us to understand the present. Then we have body paragraph 3, which will be give your own opinion. Now this one here does not need to be its own paragraph. You could put your own opinion in here and in here. Now the really important thing is that you have to make sure that your opinion is clear throughout, because the marking descriptors, the band descriptors, they tell us that the examiner is looking for a clear position throughout the response. So what we might do is we might just keep a body paragraph 3 for now, and then we're going to write a conclusion. The first and most important thing that you should do when you are writing your essay is to try to plan what you are going to be writing about. And that's really quite important, because if you're not able to plan, it's going to be really difficult for you to think of how to structure your ideas and what to include in your body paragraphs. So I'm going to start thinking of some ideas now. I'm going to brainstorm some ideas with you guys. Maybe if you want, you could put something in the chat here so that we could share those ideas with each other. And if you want to share something, you can put it in the chat. All right. So let me first think of my ideas, and you guys, while I'm doing that, could think about something for your position too. All right. So the first thing that I want to say is that history has no practical benefit. So what we might say is that for most jobs nowadays, we do not need a knowledge of history. So we could give examples. For example, if you wanted to work in accounting, or if you wanted to work outside, if you wanted to be a gardener, or if you wanted to work in construction, or if you wanted to work in, if you wanted to be a mathematics teacher, if you wanted to be a teacher of anything other than history, you don't really need to have a knowledge of history. So you could say that it has no practical benefit. If you want to be in a creative industry, you don't really need to have it as a kind of a prerequisite. A prerequisite is something that you need. Okay, so that we do not need it as a prerequisite. All right, so that's one side of the debate. So we could say that it has no practical benefit if you want to work in a job, like for example accounting or construction, or even in retail where you're working in a shop. You don't really need to have a knowledge of history. I think that's the key takeaway from that side of the debate. We might think of some more things, but I think for now we will move on to the other side, because we do have to discuss both views. That is something that's really, really, really critical. So on the other side of the debate, you could say that it does have practical benefit, and that it can teach us to understand the present and maybe even plan for the future. So what we could do is we can take away knowledge of mistakes that maybe we made in the past, and those mistakes could be war, or treating people badly. So in the past, people used to have kind of they might have even treated people as slaves. It could be slavery. In some countries in the past, there was slavery, and where people used to own other people as property, and that's not something that we do today. We recognize that is not the way that we should treat people, and because we have a knowledge of the mistakes, that means that we can learn from the mistakes. And I think that's an important takeaway from history. We could also teach we could learn about the inventions of the past, okay, are kind of relevant today. So one of the most important inventions of the past could have been the wheel, and the wheel was invented thousands of years ago. And if we didn't have a knowledge of history, we wouldn't really understand the mechanism of a wheel, or even electricity, or any of the big inventions that we could think about. I think having a knowledge of history and thinking about that really has an impact today. And I think that's the most important thing, that it says it teaches us to understand the present. And so I don't know if anybody else has anything else that they want to include in the essay. What would you think about including in your essay? So there's on one side that it has no practical benefit. So if you need skills in an area that you enjoy, so if you wanted to work in fitness, maybe you wouldn't need to have a knowledge of history. Whereas maybe if you wanted to, it teaches us something today about, because we can learn from our mistakes. And I think that's something that we should consider there. We can learn from the mistakes. What do you want to include in your essay? Let's put you in the chat now. Let's have your ideas sharing. So Rose says, practical benefit. Learning from history helps us to relate to our origins, acknowledge the efforts made by our ancestors in building the society and shaping the cultures. Interesting. Harry says, practical benefits. We can learn from the past. Yes. Banny says, learn about our bygone days machinery. Bygone days is probably not the type of language that we should be using in there. Who else wants to put something in here? Does anybody else have anything? Old people don't run the economy, so no need to know their strategy. I don't quite understand that, Nazia. I'm sorry. Rose says, students have to study too much knowledge about history of different parts of the world which are rarely used in reality. So maybe that could be about wasting time, maybe. Let's see if anybody else has anything they want to share. Learn how to run politics, maybe. Okay, so a few different ideas there. I think you will all agree that this is an extremely difficult question, and I think even for native speakers this would be really tricky in the test. We are now at 13 minutes, and so we should probably start writing now. If you are a slow writer, it's going to be something that you probably need to start writing about the 10-minute mark. So obviously it's a class today, so we have to do some more chatting. Now, I'm probably going to start with my body paragraph 1. I might leave my introduction because I do the computer-based test. I don't have to worry about space. I can just start with my body paragraph 1, and that might help you when you come to write your introduction. So we will do something like this. On one side of the debate are those people who argue that history really offers nothing for society today. And this is my topic sentence. On one side of the debate are those people who argue that history really offers nothing for society today. Those people who, this is an example of grammatical complexity. Remember that we are looking for some sentences that have complex grammar. If you are learning something from today's class, please give this video a like, share it with your friends who are studying IELTS with you. That will really help us. So this is my body paragraph number 1, and this is my topic sentence. I'm really relating it back to the question, which says no practical benefit, and I said that history really offers nothing for society today. And what I'm doing there is I'm paraphrasing the question. Okay. They claim, and that's they, the people who argue, and that's so what I'm doing here is I'm using referencing and substitution. They claim that for the majority of jobs, they claim that for the majority of jobs, there is no requirement for people to have any prior knowledge of history. I'm trying not to repeat the word too many times. We can use words, we can repeat words, but try not to use it too many times. So what are they saying? They claim that for the majority of jobs, there is no requirement for people to have any prior knowledge of history. Take, for example, and we can do put for example in commas, and that's to put emphasis. Take, for example, professions such as accountants, retail workers, or even those on the construction sites. So take, for example, professions such as accountants, retail workers, or even those on the construction sites. I might change this structure here. I might just change that. Let me just come back to that and rewrite it. We can do this example. Good examples are professions such as accountant, retail workers, or even those on construction sites who go about their daily work without any need to know about what happened during events in the past. Okay, so let me just go back and reread that to make sure it makes sense. On one side of the debate are those people who argue that history really offers nothing for society today. They claim that for the majority of jobs, they claim that, I'm going to put this in brackets because if I remove this, this is and it can be independent, so they can say they claim that there is no requirement, so I'm putting it in brackets. They claim that for the majority of jobs there is no requirement for people to have any prior knowledge of history. Good examples are professions such as accountants, retail workers, or even those on the construction sites who go about their daily work without any need to know about what happened during events in the past. Now, I might move on to my second body paragraph for now, and if I need to add anything else here, we will come back, because I don't know about word count at the moment. We might just come back and see if there's anything that we want to add here. There are other people who claim that history is extremely relevant to society, to the world today, as it is a tool to learn from our past mistakes. So the topic, so remember that when we're writing essays, we have to have a central topic for each paragraph. And what I want to do today is show you the importance of having a topic sentence which always relates back to the question. And I'm saying that in this case, it offers nothing for society. And in this paragraph, we are saying that it is extremely relevant. And what I'm doing is I'm saying as here, which means because, and then I'm summarizing what the paragraph is going to include, and we're going to talk about it being used as a tool to learn from our past mistakes. And one thing that you should always remember, and I'm going to put this in bold, I'm going to say that for every paragraph you must have one topic, and you can use a topic sentence to really help the reader or the examiner understand what your paragraph is about. Remember, if you're learning something from today's class today, please give this video a like. Okay, great. So I'm just going to make this slightly smaller so that it's all going to fit on your screen. Let's go like this. Great. So hopefully you can see it on your screen. And the topic of this paragraph was, there are other people who claim that history is extremely relevant to the world today as it is a tool to learn from our past mistakes. Okay. History teaches us that now I'm going to use a difficult word here, and I'm going to use the word atrocities. Now, if you don't know the word atrocities, or if you don't know how to spell it, atrocities means things which are terrible. That we could even say that terrible events of the past. We don't want to use the word past too much. Terrible events from times gone by. We could use from times gone by. So history teaches us that terrible events or atrocities. Remember that when we were thinking about our IELTS test, we have to use words which sometimes are less common. And this word atrocities would be an example of a higher level word. This is a C1 level word, and maybe even a C2 level word. And again, this phrase here, times gone by, would also be a C1 or a C2 level word. In the test, you need to be thinking about language which is less common. But for a Band 7, you don't need to use too many of those. History teaches us that atrocities from times gone by, such as war, should not be repeated. Hence, by teaching the young people of today about these about this past behavior. So hence, and there's a cohesive device, by teaching the young people of today about this past behavior will hopefully prevent history repeating itself. Many places around the world were subjected to, or many people were subjected to slavery, and we know now that this type of human treatment is unethical and immoral. Okay, so we could say something like this. Let's go. There are other people who claim that history is extremely relevant to the world today, because it is a tool to learn from our past mistakes. History, we could say it, but I'm going to say history here because we're not allowed to repeat the words too often, because we will get deducted for lack of substitution and referencing. But this is okay because we have too many nouns in this. We could be talking about mistakes, so I'm just going to say history. History teaches us that atrocities from times gone by, such as war, should not be repeated. Hence, by teaching the young people of today about this past behaviour, will hopefully prevent history repeating itself. We haven't used history in this sentence, but that's okay. Many people around the world were subjected to slavery. Many people around the world were subjected to slavery, and we know now that this type of human treatment is unethical and immoral. Okay, so what we're doing is we've looked at both sides, and we're now at 158 words. Fine, so we've got one paragraph on one side, one paragraph on another side, and then we're going to include my position. Now, it doesn't really matter which position you take. It just says discuss both views and give your own opinion. Okay, so my opinion is in my view, I support the idea of teaching children about the events of the past, because I would hate to think that we did not learn from the mistakes humanity made. We can think of countless wars and we can think of countless instances where, maybe I can say I can think of, because remember we're talking about my view. Let me just go back and read this again. In my view, I support the idea of teaching children about the events of the past because I would hate to think that we did not learn from the mistakes humanity made. And the question says, I believe it does have a practical benefit, as some professions require a detailed knowledge of historical events. These would be teachers and professors at university. So I just want to go back and look at the question again. It's about this idea of, some people say that history offers no practical benefit. Well, actually, I do think it has a practical benefit. I also think that it teaches us to understand the present. So what I want to do is really focus on making sure that I'm covering all aspects of the question. And remember, for those people asking, can I use the word I in my test? Can I use I believe, I think? Yes, you can. The question itself says, give your own opinion, and it says give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples. So let me just go back here. In my view, I support the idea of teaching children about the events of the past because I would hate to think that we did not learn from the mistakes humanity made. I believe it does have a practical benefit, as some professions require a detailed knowledge of historical events. These would be teachers and professors at university, as well as those people who work in archaeology, difficult word to spell, archaeology, or social science. Let me go there. So these would be teachers and professors at university, as well as those people who work in archaeology or social science. Great. So those are my 3 body paragraphs, and we are now at 228 words. We're at 228 words. And what I want to do is just show you, we've got 30 minutes. We're at 30 minutes and 44 seconds. So now we have to write our introduction. Okay. The question of whether history offers a benefit to society is one which is debated. Some people claim it does, while others say it is a waste of time. I believe that history is an important tool for us to learn from past human errors, and it offers and is vital for those who work in certain professions. So I'm trying to summarize. You'll notice here what I'm trying to do. This is the reason I wrote my body paragraph first. I'm trying to summarize both parts of the question and give my opinion for what I wrote in here. So I'm actually writing my introduction after I've written my body paragraphs, so that my introduction can summarize everything that I have said. Let me just go back and have a read of this to make sure that it makes sense. We've still got about 7.5 minutes left, so we have enough time to write a conclusion. The question of whether history offers a benefit society is one which is debated. Some people claim it does. Some people claim it does, which is offers a benefit. Some people claim it is useful, while others say it is a waste of time. I believe that history is an important tool for us to learn from past human errors and is vital for those who work in certain professions, such as academia. Okay, so it's working in academic settings. My introduction is verging on the maximum that you really want to have for an introduction. You're not going to get many points for your introduction. All of your points are going to be within your body paragraphs. So I've already written so far 287 words. Now I just need to finish with my conclusion. Let's go with my conclusion. In conclusion, while some people say that history is not necessary, I firmly believe it has an important place in our society, and it can be something as it teaches us many ways to avoid making future mistakes. And I think that's probably enough. I don't think we need to dwell on it too much. Let me just go back and make sure that I've covered everything in my body paragraphs, make sure that I have enough grammatical range, to make sure I have complex sentences. We're currently on 35 minutes 10 seconds. We've got about 4 minutes left, and I just want to have another read of my essay and make sure that I've answered the question. So we'll have a look at the question again first. It says, some people say that history offers no practical benefit to society, while others claim that history teaches us to understand the present. Discuss both views. And we decided that both views was it has practical benefit, and so no practical benefit, and the other side is that it has practical benefit. And we did jobs, and we did knowledge of mistakes, war, slavery, inventions, and we haven't covered those two parts, the inventions, but you don't need to cover everything that you planned. Let's go again. The question of whether history offers a benefit to society is one which is debated. So I've got a which sentence and a whether sentence. So that's a complex sentence. Some people claim that it is useful, while others say it's a waste of time. I believe that, so we've got a that sentence. I believe that history is an important tool for us to learn from past human errors and is vital for those who work in certain professions such as academia. So there's my summary of my position. On one side of the debate are those people who argue that history really offers nothing for society today. There's my topic sentence, which relates to no practical benefit. They claim that for the majority of jobs, there is no requirement for people to have any prior knowledge of history. Good examples are professions such as accountants, retail workers, or even those on construction sites who go about their daily work without any need to know about what happened during events in the past. So I've got a who sentence, I've got what happened, about what happened, so that's a complex sentence. So we have a lot of, in these two paragraphs here, we've got a lot of grammatical range. So I'm pretty happy at the moment about my range. Let's go. There are other people who claim, and I've got 30, we're on 37 minutes 25. Okay, so we've got a little bit of time left. There are other people who claim that history is extremely relevant to the world today, as it is a tool to learn from our past mistakes. There is my summary of my paragraph. History teaches us that atrocities from times gone by, such as war, such as war, and I'll put that in comma, between commas, times gone by such as war, should not be repeated. Hence, by teaching the young people of today about this past behaviour will hopefully prevent history repeating itself. Many people around the world were subjected to slavery, and we know now that this type of human treatment is unethical and immoral. In my view, I support the idea of teaching children about the events of the past because I would hate to think that we did not learn from the mistakes humanity made. I believe it does have a practical benefit, as some professions require a detailed knowledge of historical events. These would be teachers and professors at university, as well as those people who work in archaeology or social science. In conclusion, while some people say that history is not necessary, I firmly believe it has an important place in our society, as it teaches us many ways to avoid making future mistakes. We are now at 38 minutes. We have 1 minute remaining. I hope this would be an example of a band 8 or higher. Hopefully it would be a band 8.5 or 9. But you know what happens? Normally after this, somebody will say, "Oh, Chris, you missed a spelling mistake." And you know that in the IELTS test, this is an important point. If you make one spelling mistake, okay, this is an interesting one, your lexical resource mark goes down from 9 to a band 8. I don't think that's very fair. Just one mistake, it goes down by 1. So normally what happens is I finish this essay writing session and somebody tells me that I made a spelling mistake, which is very, very, very possible because I'm doing it under pressure. Ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, people, I want to ask you, was this clear? Did you understand everything that we wrote here? I'm going to show it all on the screen now. You should be able to see the whole essay. You can download this essay after this class by coming over to the IELTSDaily.com website. There will be a section there where you can download the PDF, and hopefully you'll be able to study it and see if you can do something similar. I'm going to put the chat on the screen now because we've reached 40 minutes. That's our time is up. Does anybody have any questions about the session that we did today? Anything that you want to ask me about today's session? Let's have a look. Let's see. Andre says you need to describe your own experience. I don't know if that's in relation to a question. I gave my own opinion. Is it necessary to include own experience? You need to include your own knowledge or experience. So you don't have to have experience, but you need to include your own knowledge or experience. Let's see. Please tell us why many people are stuck on 6.5 in writing while the score is almost perfect in other fields. Because this is a good question, Noor, because many people don't understand what good writing is for IELTS. They don't understand the band descriptors. Vuro says, I saw the present, why don't you talk more about it? I did talk about it. I talked about not making mistakes that happened today. Andrea says, where is my own experience? I wrote a whole paragraph about my own view. You don't have to talk about experience, but it just has to be my own view. Naufal says, this essay is absolutely understandable. Thank you, Naufal. I hope that you are able to understand it. Nobu says, I couldn't understand the part from one side. I don't know that. Welcome. Let's see, any tips to break the 6.5 barrier? Understand what the essay is. Alrighty, I hope this was really useful. I really thank you all for coming along today. Don't forget, I'm going to make this a writing series. You can find the whole series by coming along to the IELTS Daily website, and you can also find a playlist on the YouTube. So if you want to look at all our previous essays, we can now put this essay as class number 2, and we can say that this is essay number 2, and then in the next session we're going to look at a different type of essay. Maybe we will look at a to what extent do you agree or disagree. But don't forget, on the IELTS Daily website here, we have other sessions that you can come and look at. So for example, this session here, it was a school and practical subjects, and that one was to what extent do you agree or disagree. We also have lots of idea generation videos with me and Jay that we did in the past, so you can come and watch those as well. They are super useful. Thank you so much for coming along today. I hope that you enjoyed this session. If you did, please share your experience. Tell me what you liked about it. It is really good to see you all. Thank you very much. Take care of yourselves. Hopefully see you in future classes. Be kind, stay safe, and stay well. Wherever you are, keep working hard. You're all doing so well to get to this stage. It's really great of you to see that. Thank you very much, Rahul, for pointing out that I did make a spelling mistake in archaeology. I knew that I shouldn't have included that in there without checking. So that would mean, thank you, Rahul, for pointing out right at the end that I made a spelling mistake with archaeology. I'm going to go and fix that right now. In the test, I would have... there we go. Archaeology. Thank you very much, Rahul. 1-0 will take my mark down from a band 9 in lexical resource to a band 8 if the examiner didn't see it, if the examiner didn't pick that up. Thank you very much, Rahul. Thanks to